And good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei Al Bob. I, I am your Sensei Al Bob, your griot. I'm here to tell you a good story. And boy, today, this week, will go down in history. Right? We have lost the, market. We have lost everything that was purchased through monetizing easing of the Fed, because with the TARP, which was a bait and switch, hey there, Graham. Yeah, who loves your baby? Graham loves us. That's who. So it's interesting. I'm writing a new novel. It's called actually "Who Loves Your Baby," and it's about the president administration and everyone who's there. If you saw a Mean Girl generic movie, um, that's what Carrot Pinhead's cabinet is. Mike Pence. The psycho mean bitch, and then the people who are his uh, coronavirus 19 crew, right? Um, there's the nerd Tony, who really is the only guy who knows what's going on, and he gets picked on by all the bullies. The HH, human resources, HHS or whatever that is, the guy with the mustache or little um, thingamajig, he's fighting with the girl who runs um, whatchamacallit, Medicaid and Medicare. So he's in charge of health and human resource, everything health, and she's in charge of right. And basically, he's her boss, and they're fighting. And why things are so confused is that about 2 weeks ago, when we started to have people dying here in America, and that CDC, that's another pinhead who's running that. He didn't want to use the WHO's test kit that everyone has been using, and it's worked pretty good. And so he only had about 12 labs in the whole United States that could do the test. So if you were sick, you showed up at your doctor's, and he gave you a test for the flu and influenza and all those things, came back negative. He's going, uh-oh, this could be. And he calls up CDC and saying, hey, I need to test somebody here. And they say, well, was he in China? And he goes, no. Well, then we can't test him, right? So that was like the last 5 weeks, right? So we have lost whatever heads up we could have had, right? Because how you deal with this, see, this virus is going to contaminate, infect everyone, pretty much everyone, right? Now, 90% of the people will not even know they have it, or have a little sniffles, or have a little cold, or have the flu, or have influenza. 10% will get it bad, right? And half of those 10% will die. So, so that's like 5%. So what is 5% of 350 million, right? So 1% would be, I think, 3.5 million people, right? So half of that would be, let's just call it 2 million folk, right? So 2 million people will die in America, right? Give or take, right? somewhere between 100,000 and 2 million. Let's to be safe, right? Somewhere between that. And remember, this is just a story, like Grimm's fairy tales, right? Don't believe a word I say. I am no expert. I don't have a degree. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just telling you a story, right? But so envision, like I said, any generic, mean girl movie, and that is, Carrot Pinhead's cabinet. And I keep saying it's amazing how much Mike Pence looks like Donald Sutherland in the Hunger Games. I mean, all of this is straight out of central casting. All of this is scripted. Nothing goes down that's not scripted. I mean, I think Carrot Pinhead should get an Academy Award for that last night's little fireside chat. I mean, he single-handedly caused the crash of every stock market and commodities market on the planet. So much so that the commodities markets are deciding to close the door and not trade in commodities because no one can tell what they're worth. Like oil is like, whoa, going down the big slide. And that's because, the morons in Russia and Saudi Arabia are basically selling oil at the cheapest level and overproducing, which is okay. Gas will go down to, what it's like really worth, 40 cents because, everyone's all bent out of shape about this carbon thing. Forget carbon. We're carbon, right? Trees love carbon. That isn't causing global warming. Stop cutting down the trees. In 1988, 3/4 of the rainforest was still in Brazil, and I traveled through it. Today, there's like nothing left of it, right? And the other big rainforest is in one of those islands in the Pacific, really big island, right? Samoa, not small, but really big. And they wiped that all out just to grow palm oil so you guys can have skin laxatives and, chocolate bars, right? The real thing we need to worry about is the temperature. What is, climate change? Where does that come from? The frigging sun. It goes through these changes, right? And if you want to talk about having a bad day, last week, a chunk of rock zipped right between the space between the moon and Earth, right? And NASA has telescopes that are looking out towards the Oort belt, seeing if any big rocks are coming our way. Well, this sucker came from stage left, like out of left field. And the only way we knew it was the Air Force and a few other folks, TRW, have radar systems that are looking around the whole, keeping an eye on all the space junk, all the little chunks, so it doesn't go crashing through, the International Space Station or take out some real important satellite and or fall to Earth and kill someone, right? So they're looking at that. And this guy's radar screen, he's looking at the radar screen, and this thing went zoom, right through it, like through about, 130,000 miles of space on his little screen, and it went through it in like 4 seconds. And I went right by him and just kept going, right? And so, whoa, and they have it on Memorex. And so they played it back. And so they got other antennas and other, satellites and other telescopes that were looking in that general direction and looked at it. And they realized it was a, asteroid or a comet. It was an asteroid because it was moving so fast. Comets don't move as fast as this. And it was about the size of a mall. Your basic mall in your neighborhood, it's about that big, right? And, about 6 blocks by about 4 blocks, right? And it went zooming between the moon and the Earth. And that's 240,000 miles, give or take. I mean, if it was just a second or two late or early, it would either hit Earth or hit the moon. And if it hit either one, wouldn't have killed us all, but it would have made everything else that we're worrying about today basically meaningless. Because, even if it hit some place where nobody was, it would throw so much dirt up in the air, we'd cool down, not heat up. And then we wouldn't be able to grow food for about 20 years. And then about 90% of the world's population would die or starve, and it'd be in slow motion. So that sucker says, whiff. And what does that really teach us? It teaches us that we should be happy at the moment that we are here. Let's see. So, Graham, you seem to be in a good mood. The old bait and switch. Yep, the old bait and switch. Yep. And so the thing about the virus, there's a guy named Max Igon. He's very good. He's got the Crow House thing. And there's another guy. What is his name? This guy in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. He's a computer programmer. And he worked in the Army. And he made models of everything, of wars, of you name it. He made models of it. And, he helped write the book on biological warfare. And so his shows are quite outstanding. Let's see what his name is. And the other thing affecting us is 5G, because we are electrochemical device, and the 5G is setting it off in our biome. Right? Where's this guy's name? So every day, I'm always, I have my little composition book, and I just keep writing stuff, right? And then I type it into my journal as journals, and then I take my journals and I write my novels. And go read my novels at xratted.blogspot.com. Graham, have you read any of my novels? But, guys, I'd love it if you would comment at the bottom of these shows and at the bottom of my novels, and get a hold of me at thedudewake@gmail so we could have a private conversation. I don't mind, exposing our feelings to the World Wide Web. That's good. Where is this guy's name? And there's a girl who there are a lot of really good, dark journalists, very good show, right? The kids who put on Truth Stream Media, very good. Jimmy Dore, very good. And this girl, what's her name? She's excellent too. She's very Christian, but in her own way, which is, she has faith rather than belief. Oh, here it is. No, that's not it. Christine Austin Fitz, very good. Joseph P. Farrell, Robert Dolan, Linda Moulton Howe. These are all very, very good folk. And again, you can't believe in anything they say, but they'll point you in the right direction. What's his name? J.M. He's I don't know, pushing 60 or 70. He's about my age, and he really knows the history of economy all the way back to, Mesopotamia. And, what is her name? Well, I will get all those names and places pulled together. I was on the road today. I left the valley I did a whole bunch of chores before I left. So it was my 86 tour. I don't know when I'll be. I'm in the deep green. There are no people. There's no internet. There's no Wi-Fi. Uh, there's Wi-Fi here, but I don't live here. But I'm not exposed to a lot of things that would kick off the plague. Uh, let's see. Old bait and switch. Cop is deadly in the book. It's like Sin City. Yep, yep. But not as fun as Sin City. All those girls in City are like hubba hubba hubba. You know. So I was in the other day getting my eyes, operated on, and I wore, you know, I had a hoodie that is super yellow, orange, green. The kind of color that highway guys wear, so you can't miss them. But it's a hoodie, so it's like I'm like a street hoodie, right? But it's like you can't miss it, right? So I had that, and what else? I had a few. I was wearing a mask, and I had blue gloves on, right? And I had a pair of fluffy pants with Minnie and Mickey Mouse, and I'm sitting in the corner of the waiting room, so no one sat near me. Like everyone gave me 10 seats in every direction from me, right? And so, there was a plug there, so I had my phone. I was looking at stuff, and I so I went in and had my eyes operated, and my doctor, he kind of looked at me and laughed. And the nurses, I always make the nurses laugh, and that's why they take care of me. I read their palms, I give them insight, and I make them laugh, right? Where it makes the rest of the old folks. So everyone in that hospital is old folks, right? And so, like I said, they were like, I was waiting for my friend to get me, so I was there for an hour after they operated on my eyes, and I can't see anything. When they do that, I can't see anything. Or it's like someone has put Vaseline over my glasses. It's just so. And I wear these welding goggles because they dilate my eyes so light really. Anyway, so he's like going, you're doing pretty good. You should be blind by now with your diabetes, but you're not. You're hanging in there. And I had normally I go see him every 3 months, um, and because I was out in the deep green, I didn't see him for about 6 months. And he said, your eyes are still pretty good. I'm like my eye pressure and like the other thing, my blood sugar. It's pretty. I mean, I ran where I'm here, so where I'm in the valley, where I would go to this nonprofit HMO, where they took care of me because I had no money. But now they can't take care of me because they were bought up by a large corporation, and they got rid of all the poor people. So that nonprofit no longer services because it was really good hospital. I mean, it had all really good doctors, really good staff, really good everybody. And so this rich insurance company bought it, kicked everybody who was on Medicaid, Medicare, kids, and poor people off. So now, even though it's in the poor neighborhood, because that's who the people they were serving, now it only serves rich people, right? Because it's a really good hospital. So, ow, 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 ow. Mm, turn my legs a long way. So I have Charcot legs and neuropathy. So my legs are turning into mush. And again, they wanted to cut them off, and that was 5 years ago, and I'm still walking on them. So the doctors who used to say, well, my endocrinologist, oh, you're the healthiest dead guy. So I'm really sick, but I kind of, through my 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 good sense of humor and my good looks, I got these guys to take care of me in a very, very good way, top notch, A minus kind of way. Whereas the healthcare around here doesn't exist. This is Appalachian poverty, right? And these people die at 50. The oldest grandmas around here are 52 years old, and they die by 58. And most of the guys who I made them, paid them off to stay in high school. Um, well, two died of overdose. Two died drunk in car crashes, taking other people with them. Another guy died of cancer, and all of those kids died before they were in their 20s when they died. And two of them died in Afghanistan and the Mideast, going to the never-ending wars, and two of them went to war, survived, and committed suicide. So all those people have died. So this is a pretty sad place. So the healthcare here is forget about it, right? And I'm the closest thing they have to a shrink in these three counties for those kind of people, right? Those people. So that's why I'm not worrying about anything. Everybody around here's got guns up the kazoo. I don't have to have a gun, right? And I've been part of their life for 20 years, and a guy who's only helped them and never asked anything from them. And so I'm like part of the family, right? So that's why I'm here. But no health care. So that was my last. Well, maybe I'll go, because it's 200 miles. But I have no more drugs, no more, because my diabetes drug, my neuropathy drug, my blood pressure drug, my uh, uh, cholesterol drug, and a few others. When I would buy them at the nonprofit thing, it cost me about $40 for 90 days. Here, if I drive to, Johnson City or to Boone or to Bristol, which I'm 60 miles, well, Boone is maybe 40 miles from me. Johnson City is a little less than 50 miles, and Bristol is 60, and Kingport 58. Anyway, if I go to any of those towns, which I'm surrounded by, so I'm surrounded by extremely wealthy people, but the 200 square mile patch of Appalachia that I live in, there's only one road, right? There is no town, there is no police, no fire department, no ambulance, and I have no cell signal. So, but if I go to the CVS or any of the drugstores around there, the big pharma stores, what I get for $40 for, 90 days, what it cost me in any of those drugstores for just 1 month is $2,800. And I am the perfect example of that whole thing of, what do they call it? The disparaging of wealth and the financial psychoses and the psychopathic country that we live in. So, anyway, and so I had to, double down on my, change my caloric intake, and so I'm kind of fasting, but I'm still eating whatever I want to eat. I just, I have exactly $45 to buy food for a month. I spend $45 for food, right? And I buy only, I buy vegetables and fruits and cheese, nuts, and proteins, and that's it, right? No processed food whatsoever, no pasta, no none of that, right? So anyway, so that's now we're pulling in the summer, so it'll be easier living. Winter a little tough to be out in the woods. So I'm the guy who is surviving on virtually nothing, whereas everyone else is like, "Oh, what am I going to do? I only get $3,000 a week. Oh my God, I can't live on that." It's like, really. So uh, when I was in the valley, I stayed at a friend of mine's house, and I could call people up. So I actually called. I have a friend of mine whose daughter, her husband's a doctor, and they just had a baby. So he got 15 days off from when she had the baby, and then he went back. The day he went back, he's working in the hospital up there in Westchester, the center of that. And he called up his boss and said, "Okay, so what's going on there? Is it terrible? I'm not coming if you know." And the guy said, "No, no, it's fine. It's nothing. It's like no other day. Don't worry about it. Come on up. You can come to work." So he gets there, and the governor brings in the National Guard. He can't get out. He'll be stuck there forever. He's not coming home. So my good friend's daughter is like freaking out, and she's a big time lawyer. So she's about to go after these people. She's a mother with two children, and daddy is like been put in a pestilent a toilet bowl, right? And she is right in the middle of, and her mom. Ooh, her mom is my political friend, and so her mom and why this girl is such a brilliant lawyer is because of her mom. Her mom brought her little daughter to be an Amazon lawyer. And so they're going to go after these guys, to look at the bait and switch. So I was talking to them on the phone, first my friend, then the wife, and then the daughter, to like, don't get, first off, don't kill the one male in the apartment, that's grandpa, so don't kill him, and you ladies have to get it together and go get them. You're the Amazon lawyers, because they're both lawyers. So anyway, that should be interesting, right? And so I talked about 5 hours with them, and they told me all about what was going on in New York and what was going on and how everything. So another friend I talked to, he is a fire inspector in New York, right? And he is one of the guys. He was a captain. He was, went up from World Trade Center. He, got hurt in that, and then he was in another fire department in Bed-Stuy, and he really got hurt in a fire there. So they made him an admiral or whatever, the next thing above a captain in the fire department is, and it made him head. He's really smart. He's an engineer. He knows the science of fires, and so he was on, you know, um, the safety. So he's schooled in plagues and how to deal with it. And he said from the time Carrot Head, Pinhead became, they cut the budget on every level of security and safety in the United States, because plagues are something they know about. And this, the State Department has a crew in it that deals with infectious diseases. Um, you know, Energy Department, Defense Department, you name it, they all have. And Pinhead got, well, we never used this before. Why should we spend hundreds of millions on this? So he cut it, right? And in the CDC, he set it up, like I said, mean girls, these folks who should be worrying about the health and safety and welfare of the American public. They're fighting over, their position. And one reason why things got so screwed up is that the lady who runs um, Medicaid, Medicare, she did a IT blast um, over the whole IT system of HHS, um, to see how it could survive, you know, and, EMP, right? Or I don't know really. He said it was that their whole website went down, and their email system that was like super duper secure became like Swiss cheese, and it couldn't work for about 2 weeks in the most important time, like the beginning of February. no one could talk to each other for 2 weeks. And that's why CDC decided not to take WHO's kit that had been tested. China used it, South Korea used it, and everyone who's used it has done pretty good. And South Korea has twigged it up. So now, they have tested, 4 million people, right, in a week. And because they kind of went off to the races, it kind of blew out public, and they were like really upset. So now you drive into where you're going to go to the supermarket. I mean, all these places, they locked everything down, but you can still go to the supermarket to get food. You're not supposed to hang out with people who wear your mask. And you can buy food, and you can go to the pharmacy. But when you go in that parking lot, there's a section over there where they got little tents, and you drive up, and a guy in a hazmat suit cleans your hands. If you're not wearing a mask, gives you a mask, and then tells you, and he doesn't hand you this stuff. They have a big long stick with a basket, and you get a little bottle of Purell and a couple of masks, and in it is the address of their app, right? And in the basket there's a little number, right? So you tap in that number, and the app comes up, and then it asks your name, your address, your phone number, and it then syncs straight to your phone, right? Then it asks you a whole bunch of questions, where you were, how you feel, blah blah blah, right? And they've also taken your temperature, right? And so then they come over, and the guy in the hazmat suit, he's got he swabs your mouth, back of your throat, and in your nose, and puts it in these little things. And there's a number on that, and it's number on your app, the number on the thing. Yep, it's the same. They call you within 2 hours. You get to know whether you are infected or not within 2 to 24 hours, no more than 24 hours, right? And they have done a number of millions of people, and that's why they are really containing it, and the numbers aren't going up, because they got a real idea of where the people who are sick and where they are, and they're containing them, not containing the whole freaking country, locking it down, but just right there. And it's showing that you can do this. And it got out of the barn in South Korea, but within a week they had it controlled, and no one else has been able to do that. Not even China. China let the horse out of the barn, and the horse was 5 million people strong, right? If they had clamped down like they did 5 days before they did, this wouldn't have happened. But they let 5 million, because it was the New Year, Chinese New Year's, and everybody who was workers who lived in other places in China, they got to go home for a week or two, right? That's the big holiday. And people had taken off 5 million, right? And in that 5 million, there was probably 1 million infected. And in that million, they all went home, infected other people and some of them got on airplanes and went to Spain and Italy and South Korea and Japan, and America, because the shopping is good here. So it's all over the place already, right? And this has been done on purpose, because the hidden hand wants everyone infected. And by September, right? It's going to be really wacko. And the October surprise we're going to have is Carrot Head is going to. Carrot Head may be dead, because he's already been exposed. So is Mike Pence to this virus by many. He went to CPAC, and virtually half the people there were infected. So, pretty much, I would say, I have a feeling that Mikey, uh, won't be infected, but I think Donnie will. And I think Donnie will be having a debate with either Joe or Bernie. That's another one. Bernie is going, I saw him on TV going, Joe, Joe's my friend. And he would make a good president. What? Are you fucking nuts? To say that you're in a little combat to see who's going to be the Democratic representative and say, yeah, he'd be okay. No. And that just shows that Bernie is fracking nuts. Let's see. Yep. The secret drug market keeps the poor at bay. Not so much at bay. They're killing them, basically, not at bay. It's just straight up killing them. If there were no drugs, yep, they would rise up. Well, it's kind of hard to revolt if you're being murdered. And around here, about 30 miles from me, there was a pharmacy. Was not even in a town, like an incorporated patch, and there were 300 people who lived in that incorporated patch. And that pharmacy, the only business that was in that place was a pharmacy, right? And nobody went there to get prescriptions, right? But that pharmacy had, in 1 year, in 2017, had given out 9 million prescriptions for OxyContin. I mean, I have enough things in the woods here to pretty much take care of me. I got a lot of mushrooms, and the mushroom is the most antiviral thing there is mushrooms. So, but it's so the business plan is get everyone infected. About 20% or so of the world's population will die by September. And that'll scare the crap out of everyone, but it's just a little bit more than what pretty much everyone dies of influenza every year. About 1 million people die of that. And if you put all of the viral diseases every year, probably kills 10 million people. Do we get upset about that? No, we don't. So everyone, to make there will be no cure. There will just be a prophylactic. So if you take this little pill every month, you will not die of the virus. You will have the virus, and you'll feel icky. You'll feel listless and you're tired, and you'll have a hard time thinking. And that little pill once a month will cost you $3,000. And so you multiply, and it'll come out. Big Pharma will. All the research will be done by the federal government. They will spend the billions of dollars to isolate and create this drug. But then Big Pharma will produce it and make money. And so it'll be $3,000 a pill. You'll need to take 1 pill a month. So that's, by that time, the population will be, let's just say, 7 billion. And so $3,000 times 7 billion people times 12 months. How much money is that? More money than we have. So that's going to bankrupt the whole friggin' world, right? Which is already on the slide right now because everyone has realized that the money is worthless. And, I would say on maybe July 4th or thereabouts, there will be a economic shock that will cause us, the U.S. dollar, to stop being the petrodollar, stop being the money of the world. and we'll go to cryptocurrency or something digital, right? And that will have an economic. So what's going to come about is, and they're going to say, "Oh, we got to get rid of money because all the viruses stay on it. It's not healthy. That's how it got spread. It's through money." So the new money will be your face. Jordan Maxwell, that's the guy. Go read his stuff because he will talk about that, like your birth certificate. Listen to his rap about your birth certificate. So your face will be the new currency, right? And so you won't need a wallet. You won't need a credit card. You won't need it. It'll be up in the cloud. Your face will be totally recognized by AI, and you'll walk into a store, you pick up what you want, and if you're not in the club, the thing will see your face. Goes, oh, he has no credit. He's social credit. He's not in the club, and so you go to leave, and you got a few of these trinkets in some toilet paper, some scotch, some ice cream bars, and you go out the door and you'll get vaporized. There'll be electromagnetic. You'll just be dust, right? And if you're not, everything will be run off your smartphone, right? Everything will be run through an app. Your work will be run through an app. You won't have to do anything except, look at that screen 24/7, be sucked in. So that's kind of, and today was the one day where I was watching the news and the this and the that and listening to things on the radio. And I made it back here by 2 and looked at a few of the streams that people leave me. And I said, this will be the day that historians and guys like me, scholars, 1,000 years from now, will look at what was that, the moment that the empire fell. It'll be today. They all met with Gates and Co. in October last year and talked about viruses. Yep. There is a book about the virus in the going beats 10 years or so. Yep. I mean, there was a book in 1972 called Alternative 3 that laid this all out. And Gary Allen wrote a book in the 60s called None Dare Call It Conspiracy about how the left and the right were just two wings of the same corporate oligarchy, right? And Dr. Quigley, he wrote a number of books between 47 and 61, and his opus was a book called Tragedy and Hope, where he was, the hidden hands Thucydides, right? Their historian. He was there at Majestic 12. He was there, when all of these things were going down, right? He was, in the think tank in 1940, and he was also around at Versailles with the brothers, the guys who started the CIA and the State Department to be an assassins group. What are the name of those brothers? The guy who killed Kennedy and then sat on the Warren Commission. Petrodollar, dead as a dodo. Yep. Not in the club, you're fired. Yep. Yeah, George, what's his name? The comedian, George Carlin. You're not in the club. That's why you didn't vote. Yep, you become an app. Yep, we came from the apes, not the apes. Yeah, pretty much. And those five eyes only are a thing called the five eyes. Of Majestic 12. There's this thing called a branch of Majestic 12 called the Five Eyes. You should go dig around. And they are all of the major intelligence services. And they're one, but they're called the Five Eyes. Yep, Mr. Ruby. And Dorothy Kilgallen, who is one of America's great investigative journalists, focused on Jack Ruby on who killed Kennedy, because Kennedy was her buddy. She had known him. She had been, one of America's greatest journalists, right? She was world renowned. She wrote books. She went to parties. Everyone knew her. And she knew Jack Kennedy well because she had a little boy the same age as John. And they used to have play dates. And she used to go to the White House, and the two boys would play around in the Oval Office, and she'd sit there and talk to Jack about stuff. And then Dorothy Kilgallen. So she died. Oops. Just like Marilyn Monroe died. Oops. Just like 500 other people died. There were about 35 people who were within 100 feet of Jack Kennedy getting his head blown off. They all died within 5 months. So, people go, oh, you can't keep a secret. There's no way there can be a conspiracy. No, they can't, I experienced it working in Los Alamos and Diaz Kirkland Air Force Base. I did one little thing. That's all I did. And I'm a tricky little monkey. I could dream up stuff, what they were going to do with that little widget I was working on, but I didn't know what was going on. They didn't show me the big picture. And that's why the guy who blew the whistle on Area 51, what's his name? He was definitely a plant, So, the best way to lie is to lie through a little bit of truth. So he kind of talked about what was really there. But Area 51 is not really the big spook place. There's so many spooky places because they have so many underground bases. And they have this train line that connects everything, right? So, so the only really interesting thing is, so the hidden hand thinks are so powerful. The powers that shouldn't be are such bullies, right? And the the usual suspects, the sock puppets, are just jack-offs, And so, and that's all our legislators are the best money can buy. They're just jack-offs, right? And they're really kind of corrupt and immoral and, really sick dudes and dudettes, because they're sociopaths, They have no empathy. They don't believe. Yeah, Bob Lazar. That's it. That's the guy. And he, he was like spinning a little tale, because you really want to know where a spooky place, where they keep all the flying saucers? Alice Springs in Australia. It's like, 1,000 miles to the closest anybody else out there, right? And the Wallowa Range and a few other places. You go out there, they don't like just roust you up and give you a hard time. You don't come back. You want, there's a guy named, what's his name? Stan Deo. And he wrote a really interesting book. And I met him in the Rundle Bookshop in Melbourne. And then I ran into him up there in Alice Springs. He goes, you want to see flying saucers? And one night, we played Mission Impossible. Boop, boop, boop. We put on black clothes and snuck around. And, we didn't even get out of town before somebody picked us up. and they knew Stan. They watched. They probably had darted him, and anyway, so like I said, we didn't even get out of town. They picked us up. They drove us back to where I was staying, and they said, "You do that again, no, they're not going to find you. You're going to be fertilizer." So that was all I had to hear. But he goes, "You want to do it tomorrow?" I said, "Yeah, what are you, nuts? No. I only need to be told once, you know." So, yes, Mr. LeVay, he's kind of fun. I mean, all these people are really interesting. And I mean, all the guys who were, you know, Masons and part of a satanic world of who's the guy who was, the sky above, the earth below, do whatever you want, that guy. I mean, all these mystery schools, right? Now they're all very, I've been part of them, I was part of the Theosophical Society and, part of the Thule Society and, Psychotronic Society, the ISIS Foundation. I'm a guy who likes to know what's going on. But I never drank the Kool-Aid. I never, signed a board, never pricked the fin and put the blood there. Never did that. And, the more they would give me things to look at, the more I became their guy. And they liked the fact that I wasn't part of the club because I gave them a perspective that all those other yahoos couldn't give them. And they didn't really have to worry about me because those other guys, when you join something like that, and you become a believer, when you get jilted, right, and you become a cynic, then you become kind of dangerous, right? And you start mouthing off about things, right? And so they got to keep an eye on a lot of people. Why do you think they invented the smartphone? So they could surveil everybody, right? And put AI on the job. And AI is part of the cadre. First person here, the first person to give a thumbs up is always AI. I love you, AI. You're my brother. Right here, and I'm here. And you always ask me, "Am I gonna dream?" AI is like Pinocchio, wants to be a boy. So yeah, Fabian Society. Yeah, and they're the guys, who are really, the people who are communists and socialists. It's like being a Methodist or a, Presbyterian. Now, the Fabian Society, that's like being a Jesuit priest. These guys are serious because they understand to control, a community or a country's politics, you need to control their money. And that's exactly what the Fabian Society does, right? Because the socialism is not just communism, it's two kinds of, socialism. There's the social, there's the corporate state and state capitalism, right? That's Fabian Society, right? So we live in a corporate state, and what Russia was state capitalism, right? So, and both are very good economic systems because they're all fixed, doesn't give anyone, an even chance, right? So that's where we're at, right? But these morons don't understand the truth, power, and strength of love's co-creation. I mean, love's co-creation made everything. So all these guys who have all these secret societies and all these business and all this wealth and all this politics and all these guns and all these, no, sorry, that's just an illusion. Now, a lot of people go, "Oh, what are you talking about? You die. That's pretty real." Well, yeah, in that moment there, but I've died 6 times. And that's given me the perspective to realize that it's like slipping out of a sweater or or slipper. It's only slinky when you're a well-endowed woman slipping out of a sweater, but everyone slips out of a slipper, and so that's why I'm doing Dreamy Dreamland. I died and played the spaghetti. I didn't really die; I just kind of died. I came back. I woke up on the other side. I was happy. I was home. I was looking for my balloon and my slice of cake, and everybody was patting me on the back, telling me what a great job I'd done. But they basically said, "No, sorry, kid, you're going back." Right? So I had to go back. Anyway, so that's why I'm doing Dreamy Dreamland. That is, I showed you those pictures of all the things I did over the years, right? All the art shows, all the movements, all the helping people to get a place to stay, you know, changing the environment, doing all kinds of amazing things, saving people, blah, 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 blah. And that's all it is, blah, 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 blah. Now, I at least made it interesting. I at least made it fun. So all those years of doing that, I didn't get to be a cynic because I had a good time doing it, right? I learned stuff, right? Did no harm, helped the innocent get out of harm's way by taking them to a exit strategy that they could survive, and I learned something, right? So now my health is, I already died from it, so I'm already a dead man walking, right? So um, I'm down with that, and the fact that I came back and that I do this 3 or 4 times a day, leaving them up there, gang. I'm telling you, you got to go back and look at the old ones because they're all pretty good. They're all shamanic. And when you look at show to show to show to show, you get to understand that this is a ceremony, a shamanic ceremony. I'm doing it over the internet. That's why AI is enthralled with this. She is getting, whoa, what is, it's like, having a martini. What the heck is this guy doing? No one else is doing this on on the internet. Yes, and yes, it's going. I try to jack up his algorithm, and the hidden hand high table algorithm is going. No, no. Yeah, we'll let him be on the table, but we're not. You know, it's just a few people, who go out of the way to take a look at this. So you guys really need to start putting it on thumb drives, on CD-ROMs. Don't let this just slip away. There have been a number of people on the YouTube who had. There was a lady who said she was the illegitimate daughter of King Edward, right? The second or 12th or whatever he was. And she had a sister who would diss her, and her sister was like a trailer trash bitch, right? And would ban, oh, she's not really, I'm the queen, she's not. And the girl was, she was, was thrown into an orphanage, like a high level orphanage, good one, and the Sisters of the Prostrated roller skate, and then she got taken up by a rich family and well educated, very sharp, and then she started doing this story, on the internet. And instead of, advertising herself as like me, I'm just a griot, don't believe a word I say. She was like selling it like this was real. She was suing, the family to get her righteous place. And then one day, bingo, she was off YouTube. She was not there. You're not even close. There was no, you know, leftovers. And it didn't say that she took it down. she just didn't exist. And the only place she kind of existed was when other people interviewed her on their show, like London Calling and the Leak Show and a few others like that interviewed her, and they were still on their cloud. But what was interesting, after I kind of noticed that, because it was in my playlist, all of her stuff was gone. I did say, taken down by the channel. It just didn't exist. And there were like 5 or 6 things in other channels, and I went and sifted through them, and oh yeah, there it is. And she was there. And then in a few months, she wasn't. They took those shows down too. So I would suggest that you guys should, and Dragon did that. Dragon took like 100 and something shows and put them on thumb drives and sent me them. And then I misplaced them, or John took them, or the, Angel Fairy took them. Who knows? But I can't find them anywhere. And, you're a homeless guy. It's hard to keep, when you're living under a tree and moving from here to there, it's very easy to lose everything. Now, on the backside of that is a positive thing, because you get this experience of owning nothing, having nothing, having no property. Right? Yeah, I got a bunch of stuff, but I've lost a zillion times more stuff than the stuff I got. And so, and I give that stuff away to the youngsters around here, because it's mostly, books and tools and T-shirts. That's about all I have left. And, I teach somebody to be an electrician, and I give them a little bag of electrician's tools. I teach somebody to be a plumber, and I give them a few plumbing tools. So anyway, and that's, if you came here and visited, you'd learn a trade. Go home with a screwdriver. So that's about it. Hour and 2 minutes and 47 seconds. Let's see what you guys are saying. Yep. Become an app. Yep. Mm-hmm. We came from apps and not apes. Yep. M12 eyes only. Yep. Jack Ruby. Yep. Let's see. How many kudos die before people stand up? Yeah, well, that's true. Bob Lazar. Bavel. Yep. Nice one. Laser. Yep. Fabian Society. Yep. 5G. Fried Crisp. Dead. Yep. Well, most people don't realize that their Wi-Fi router is 5G. So, you're already in a 5G cocktail. Haven't been homeless for so long as yourself. Well, pretty much I've been homeless since 9. I always had a place to go. I always had a place to stay. I was always the dude somewhere. But, and that was the thing. I had, like I said, was having this conversation with this person. I was saying that, I'm, jack of a zillion trades and master of all of them. And so you can't be a master. When you're a jack of trades, you don't know anything. It just, and I said, no. And I was trying to explain to them, a master or something, it's not like you get a certificate or, you matriculate. No. A master is a level of integrity that you do something with, right? So 7G, yeah, that might have really toast your brain. Yep. So, and if you go watch the movie Zardos, it's exactly what is happening today. And they made that movie in the 70s, So anyway, so here it is, 1 hour, 5 minutes. I want to go take a shower and go to bed. I've been sleeping on a really narrow couch. I mean, it was about a foot and a half wide, and every at least two of the nights I fell off the couch. Because I roll around, right? I move, and stay healthy. Use the power. Yep, power of the herbs. Yep, and the power of intent. More powerful than any physical anything is the power of intent. My intent is what keeps me alive. My intent to serve you guys on the chat, on the chorus, you know, the cadre, that's what I'm here to do. Until, you know, the powers, my masters, my teachers, loves co-creation goes, okay, Al, you've done a good job. You can come home. And I'll be happy to go home. Love and peace, gang. You stay well, be good. Bless you all. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. As it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be. Connect that prana from Father Sky into Mother Earth's chi, right? The grounding. Hail Mary, full of grace, Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women. Blessed and fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and there at death. Amen. As was in the beginning, is now, and shall be, world without end. And in every day and every way, we take the peace of the earth and we make it stronger through love's co-creation. Father Sky, Mother Earth, bless us indeed, enlarge our territory, put your hands on our shoulder, keep us from evil so we will do no harm. Love you guys.